those in college. I become like those in college so that by all means God may save some. Good morning, church. My name is Townsend. I'm one of the elders here in this congregation, and this morning I want to talk to you about campus ministry, and more specifically about the Cats for Christ, and which is the campus ministry of this congregation, serving the students of Kansas State University. And I want to start by answering the question, what is campus ministry all about? And I would sum it up by saying it's bringing young people into a transforming relationship with God that changes them forever. Because of this, yes, that's me in 1976. And because of this congregation and the Cats for Christ campus ministry, Dana and I have never been the same. And I think you're glad of that. I was, in college, I was an atheist, and I had no interest in anything spiritual or religious when Harold Mitchell first approached me. A lot of you have heard this story, but some of you haven't. But the thing that's poignant, I believe, is where I first met Harold, and that was on the K-State campus, in the Ahern locker room, because Harold understood that he couldn't just sit in this building and expect someone like me to come to him, because there's no way on earth I would have. And so he very deliberately spent time on campus, and in this case he played volleyball over the noon hour in Ahern, and then just came up out of the blue and introduced himself to me. And it doesn't stop there, because as we developed a relationship, there were times we would go out to Wildcat Creek, because at the time I was a wildlife biology major. Like now, I love being outside, and so I would take him to my world, which was sitting on the bank of Wildcat Creek. And while he's trying to read the Bible to me, I'm pointing out all the birds and identifying them and trying to teach him birds while he's trying to teach me the Word. But the point is, he came into my world to touch me, and it made all the difference in the world for me, for my wife, for my children, and it's been such a blessing. Sure, he invited me into his world, but he deliberately gave up what he was comfortable with to meet me where I was. And I really feel like he was the embodiment of that passage that we just talked about, that Lowell just read for us, that he became all things to all men, so that by all possible means God might save some. Well, roll the calendar ahead 3 decades to a Wednesday night in December in the K-State Union, in the north end of the food court where the Cats for Christ are worshiping and fellowshipping. And in walks a young man looking for help, trying to escape a lifestyle of alcohol abuse. Or earlier in this semester, in walks a young woman who's been rejected by her family because of the color of the skin of the person she's dating, but who now can have a spiritual family to love and encourage her, and is making connections with Laura Estes because Laura and Ray are doing what Harold and Elwood and Trish Peters did for Dana and I 30 years ago. They're going to where the students are. Or picture this student who lost her father last year, who's now been baptized and has a church family to support and encourage her in her relationship with the Father of all creation. A relationship that's been strengthened because one of the first times that she came, Michelle Chrysler, when it came time for us to pray together, Michelle Chrysler sought her out and prayed with her. Or how about the ex-boyfriend of a Cats for Christ student who sounds a lot like me when I was in college? I don't think he looked like me. But, I mean, he's someone with no faith, no interest in anything religious. But Carrie is now meeting with him regularly, one-on-one, and the door is cracked open a little bit. Well, and guess where he's meeting him? He's not meeting him here. He's meeting him in a coffee shop. I'm convinced that coffee is the elixir of life for college students and now campus ministry. But developing relationships one-on-one over a cup of coffee is a very effective way to get to know college students these days. And the reality is, if you're going to be in campus ministry these days, you better learn to like coffee. Because you see, it's about removing barriers that separate people from God. And the truth is, for some people, coming to this building is a barrier. It's a significant barrier to them. And so like Harold, we've got to go to them. The young man that Carrie is studying with, for example, he's far, far away from stepping foot in this building. But he will very readily meet Carrie regularly, weekly, in a coffee shop. And now he's contemplating coming to the Union and saying that he's willing to do that to Encounter, because the Union is a familiar place to him. It's a place he spends time. It's a place he's comfortable with. And now it's a place where the Cats for Christ have a significant presence. So, holding Encounter at the Union has knocked down just part of that dividing wall. It lowers that barrier a little bit, so one more person can be exposed to genuine people who love God. And the reality is that's why we moved the Wednesday night Cats for Christ worship to the campus, and so we could take the message to where the students are, rather than expect them to come to us initially. And it's working. Every Wednesday since early December, we've had new people showing up on Wednesday night in the Union. And the numbers, if you want to gauge success by numbers, the numbers have continued to grow. In fact, they've defied the typical trend of things like this, which is you have a lot of people at the beginning and then it tapers off towards the end. Well, it just kept growing. In fact, the most people we had at an Encounter this past fall was the last Wednesday, the last Encounter of the semester, which was the Wednesday of the last day of classes before finals, when students are stressed and busy, but that was our biggest crowd. And it's picked up where that left off in January. Same is true with the various life groups and the college student life groups and the young professionals life groups. The numbers have stayed up. So has the women's group, the Women's at the Well, the men's group, Josiah's Priest. But, success isn't just measured by numbers. So, numbers are just an easy way to try to gauge success. Really, spiritual growth and maturity and people, new people being exposed to the Word of God, or how you measure that. And it's just, how do you measure that? I don't know. I will tell you, though, as one who is intimately involved with all of this, as I observe, as I have conversations with you guys, as I spend time with you, as you're in our home, as I go on to the retreats, as I spend time in Africa with some of you, I see a growth and maturity that's there. And I frankly believe that the campus ministry right now is healthier than it's been in several years, many years. Yeah, maybe. Anyway, some X number. It's growing, it's healthy. And I believe that, and I know that Kerry is doing a masterful job, and he's uniquely gifted in this campus ministry these days. He is truly effective with this generation of college students, and it's not just because he likes coffee. But he knows when you meet with Kerry one-on-one over a cup of coffee, you relax with him, and he asks pointed questions, but not in a threatening way that draws people out. I laughed last fall. Someone on Facebook asked Kerry, "Who is this Radina person he's spending so much time with?" But that's what works now, and so I want to publicly acknowledge that and thank you, Kerry, for your love for these students and for the incredible amount of time you spend with them and the hours you invest in them and the deep care you have for their souls, because it's paying dividends and it's all to the glory of God. But I also have to stand up here and acknowledge that this is that I have to share these things because this growth is less visible to all of you. Since the students now are on campus on Wednesday evenings and not here in the building. And I know that's been hard for some of you. And I feel for that. And it's something that we acknowledge and are concerned about. And it's a challenge that's compounded by the fact that many of this generation in college students are less inclined to be loyal to an institution, a religious organization, a particular denomination. We've got students that are coming to Encounter and are engaging in other parts of the Cats for Christ campus ministry who worship elsewhere on Sunday morning. And that's different. That's different from 30 years ago. It doesn't fit the model we grew up with.